What's up? This is Ben from WODprep, and I want to welcome you to a 3-part video series on how to get strong. In this 3-part video series, I'm going to teach you exactly how and why you need to get strong in order to get really good at CrossFit or functional fitness. Today, I'm going to be covering what we like to call the strength pyramid. A lot of times, athletes think when it comes to getting strong, it's all about can I snatch, clean, jerk? Can I move a barbell effectively? But that is only one small slice of the overall strength equation. So today I'm going to walk you through how and why you need to develop strength to become a well-rounded athlete. And it starts with this pyramid. At the bottom is the foundation, and at the top are the nice-to-haves. The foundation helps you move up in levels of strength. And here's what I mean by that. When it comes to the different parts of the strength pyramid, I'm actually going to draw a line in here. At the very bottom, the most important aspect of strength, what a lot of people would consider raw strength, we're going to call it absolute strength. Absolute strength is your ability to move external loads. So in the sport of fitness, usually that means moving a barbell. Now when it comes to absolute strength, the skill is relatively low. So I'm actually going to write skill here. So we have skill. Relatively low skill, absolute strength, is things like the deadlift. Things like shoulder press, bench press, front squat, back squat. And there's another one, but we'll talk about that in a future video. Absolute strength has nothing to do with your body weight. It has everything to do with how strong are you and how able are you to move an external load. So if the barbell's heavy, can you move it? If the barbell's light, can you move it? You fall somewhere in the spectrum. Once we've developed absolute strength, so our ability to move weight, then comes more high skill activities like power. Power is basically moving weight quickly. So that's where you start to see things like, I'll underline it, things like snatch, jerk, clean, and other movements like thrusters, clusters, all the different complexes that we do in our sport. Also on this same level would be relative strength. Relative strength is our ability to move weight in relation to our body weight. So that's going to be strength things like a strict pull-up. It's going to be things like a strict handstand push-up. And then obviously you can do ring muscle ups because that's a combination of the strict pull-up and the dip. So what does this mean? Relative strength is how strong are we in relation to our body weight. You might see some athletes that have ridiculously good absolute strength. So think of like a power lifter, right? They can deadlift, bench, squat a lot of weight. However, how many strict pull-ups can they do? For a lot of power lifters, because they're enormous and have tons of muscle and tons of body weight, their actual relative strength to their size might be a bit lower. Now, this isn't a diss at powerlifters. There's a lot of powerlifters that can do tons of strict pull-ups, strict handstand push-ups, dips, ring muscle-ups, things like that. But you have to understand that your ability to move a lot of weight, absolutely, being external loading, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be really good at your relative strength compared to your body weight. So we have absolute strength, ability to move weights outside of our body. We have relative strength. That's the ability to move weight in relation to our body. So think of strict gymnastics. And then we have power. So that's the ability to snatch, clean, jerk, thruster. That's ability to move external loading quickly and efficiently with skill. So you can see the skill level starts to go up here. And then at the tippy top of the pyramid, we have things that we're just going to call gymnastic skill. So this is your kipping patterns. This is things like doing high volume kipping ring muscle-ups, high volume bar muscle-ups, high volume kipping pull-ups, things like that, and lots of other things. These things involve a lot of skill, not necessarily as much absolute strength, but there's still an application of strength, especially relative strength. So, when it comes to becoming a well-rounded, strong CrossFit athlete, how should we attack strength? Well, like most things, it's important to build the foundations first. Too often, athletes, a major problem that we run into with athletes is they start to focus and they worry about their power and their gymnastic skills. They're like, Ben, I can't do ring muscle-ups. And they just try to work on high-volume kipping ring muscle-ups. They practice their snatch. They practice their clean. And all that is great. But you're kind of putting the cart before the horse if you haven't focused a lot of time developing absolute strength. When it comes to the season of CrossFit or the season of the sport of fitness, usually our tests are about this time of year. We have in the spring, in March, late February, we have the Open, and that's where we're truly testing our fitness. And then if you're good enough to make it to quarterfinals, you make it to quarterfinals. And then if you're really good, you make it to semifinals, maybe even to the CrossFit Games, which we've coached lots of athletes to get there. So when do we work on these various things? Well, oftentimes we find that a lot of athletes don't spend enough time down here. Most athletes don't spend enough time in the gym working on their absolute strength, their ability to move external loads, their ability to move heavy weights on a barbell in things like deadlift, strict press, bench press, front squat, back squat, and more. So in order to get better, when do we need to focus on these things? We need to focus on absolute strength now, because right now, as I'm recording this video, for almost every single athlete, we are entering what you would call the off season. The off season is a time to spend focusing less on your high-level skills and maybe high-skill power output and focus more on developing your absolute strength. Because when you get really strong, when you're able to move external loads and you've checked off the boxes of all the various ways to test absolute strength, we then move on to work on the higher skilled movements with power, moving weight quickly in a high skill environment, snatch, clean, jerk. We work on making sure that your relative and absolute strength are where they need to be. So you're able to move weight, but you're also able to move your body weight. Then, and only then, that's when it's a great time to work on gymnastic skills. So when it comes to the season, this is what we want to do early or in the off season, and working on the high level gymnastic skills, things like that, that's what we do later in the season. So when it comes to developing and how to get strong for CrossFit, in the next video of this series, I'm going to talk about how to test and exactly which movements to test to determine your absolute strength, and then I'm also going to reveal how to work on them. Most of the time in your local gym, and this is not a knock on programming, most of the time when you go to your local gym, you might do a strength and then a metcon. However, that strength sometimes might be gymnastics development. It might be more of a power. So you might be working on snatches, cleans, and jerks. You might be working on your relative strength. But oftentimes we notice that gyms and all programming, including sometimes our programming, does not focus enough on absolute strength in the early season to truly develop a foundation of strength, what we like to call raw strength, in order to improve the higher levels of fitness or the higher levels of strength in our sport. So that's what I'm going to talk about in the next video. I hope that you learned a lot from this video. In the comments below, I want you to either say one thing you learned in this video, or when it comes to this pyramid, where are you lacking? I think a lot of people might actually get it wrong, but that's okay. In the comments below, what is one area that you feel like you're lacking? Is it your absolute strength? Is it your power, so snatch, clean, jerk, your ability to move the weight quickly, the external loads quickly? Or is it your relative strength? Is it your strength in relation to your body weight? Or, last but not least, is it your gymnastic skill? Hint, it's probably one of these three things. I want you to focus on the relative, power, and absolute. In the comments below, let me know what one thing is that you need to work on. I'll be in the comments responding, offering feedback and suggestions, and make sure you stay tuned for video number 2 in this series, where we are focusing on absolute strength. Absolute strength is the missing piece that a lot of people don't realize they need to work on, and it's something that a lot of gyms miss in their programming, especially in the early off season. And that's what I'm gonna help you learn next. So stay tuned for video 2. Make sure you leave a comment below. Let me know what you learned from this video. And I will see you in a few days for video 2 of how to get strong for CrossFit. Did you know that if you hit the subscribe button, you could win $10 billion? No, I'm just kidding. That's a complete lie. But I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. Maybe even gave me a thumbs up, because that helps WODprep get more views on this channel. Thank you so much. Smash the subscribe button, thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.